We often hear people say, getting old is no fun, or I hate to get old. However, my realization of getting old is quite different. My memories of my younger age are unforgettable. However, getting old has brought me comfort and joy. I was an English teacher for more than 30 years, and my teaching career is memorable. In 1967, I had a chance to teach in a brand new private Catholic school, Qigong Middle School. The ages of my students were 12 or 13. Most of them were the most outstanding students from Qigong Elementary School. A small number of students came from other elementary schools. There were only 3 teachers with tenure at that time, and I was one of them. There were only 3 classes, 2 boy students and 1 girl students. The regulations of this school were very strict. All students boarded at school dormitory, they all wore uniforms, and their hair had to be the same length. After supper, they had study hours from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Teachers stayed on for an extra hour after school to help students with their academic problems. Students were very competitive, and their parents had very high expectations of their children. We put all our attention into our students, hoping that they could be admitted to best senior high schools. In such an environment, teachers and students spent a lot of time together, and we got to know one another very well. Fulfilling our expectations, most of our students did very well on the senior entrance examination and were admitted to excellent schools. Our efforts were not in vain. My students are now in their 60s. After these years, they have still kept in touch with me, and we talk on Zoom once a month. We often talk for hours. Their care, calls and love always fill an empty spot in my heart, which is a blessing to my old age. In the summer of 1993, I was accepted as a Dizzy, students and children, by my Shifu, teacher and master, to practice Qigong. When I was interviewed by him, the first thing he encouraged me to do was improve myself and control my temper. His advice and exhortation became the turning point of my life. Doing Qigong exercise for a short time healed my migraine, and I became more energetic. During Qigong classes, we often share with others our improvements and our backgrounds and life experiences with one another. I gradually became more humble and sincere. That enabled me to get along with others better and to make more friends. As we are often blinded by images of war and hatred, we tend to cling to our destructive ways. It is a challenge to get rid of our bad habits. However, the longer I attended classes, the more I realized that practicing Qigong is not only to improve us physically, but also spiritually. Influenced by brothers and sisters' good examples, I began to accept well-meaning criticism and determined to correct my mistakes. Acting according to my conscience helps me to let go all my worries, anxieties, and nervousness. I felt more relaxed and happier. As Qigong practitioners, we are encouraged to do one good deed each day. In doing so, I have become more compassionate and more generous. We often say, one's appearance reflects one's heart. My smiles have become more engaging. It's so true that wisdom comes from the accumulation of experiences. The older I get, the more mature and more experienced I become. Experiences keep me more perceptive. When I run into a predicament, I am able to handle it in a rational and positive way instead of making impetuous decisions. Since I retired, I had more opportunities to travel around the world. My experiences visiting 85 countries have opened my eyes and broadened my world vision. I am now approaching 83. Once in a while, I am invited to give a talk to young people at church about the stories of my experiences traveling. They usually listen attentively and with their eyes open. After I finished, they surrounded me with interesting questions. At such moments, I am proud of my old age. I realize that compassion, tolerance, and magnanimity in action guided by our conscience are the key to what I believe getting old is a blessing.